U.S. National Security Advisor Brzezinski flew to Pakistan to set about rallying resistance. He wanted to arm the Mujahedin without revealing America's role. On the Afghan border near the Khyber Pass, he urged the soldiers of God to redouble their efforts.
We know of their deep belief in God, and we are confident that their struggle will succeed. That land over there is yours. You'll go back to it one day, because your fight will prevail, and you'll have your homes and your mosques back again, because your cause is right and God is on your side.
As Soviet tanks rolled in, refugees came pouring out of Afghanistan, most of them to neighboring Pakistan. There, the CIA armed and funded the rebels, but left a program worth millions of dollars entirely in the hands of the Pakistani intelligence service.
The CIA played more of a quartermaster's role in the campaign. They stood back and let the Pakistan army do the direct training of the Mujahideen. This was something that the Pakistanis insisted upon, and it also suited the Americans, who looked at the politics of the jihad and essentially said, no more hearts and minds for us. If the Pakistanis want to decide who the political winners and losers ought to be, which guerrilla leaders ought to get the most guns and money, that's fine. Let them decide it.
By 1984, the U.S. was spending $200 million a year on the Afghanistan war and seeing results. After 5 years, stalemate. President Ronald Reagan and CIA Director William Casey decided to triple the budget for weapons to the Mujahideen.
When the Stinger was deployed, and it was the only U.S. weapons system that had been used in the conflict, and it was quite controversial that we were using that weapon system. Within the first few days of being deployed, 3 helicopters were shot down. It had a tremendous impact on Soviet military planning.
The new president, George H.W. Bush, kept the CIA in the Afghan game.
It appears that at some point, according to Ahmed Rashid, the Pakistani ISI, the intelligence agency, introduced Osama bin Laden to the leaders of the Taliban. And he helped them financially, some people say to the tune of $3 million, in capturing the city of Jalalabad and then the city of Kabul in September 1996.
He was wealthy and he was a brother in arms, but the Taliban weren't sure if they actually wanted bin Laden. They approached the Saudi intelligence chief and asked if Saudi Arabia wanted him back.
The Saudi royal family wanted to build a Muslim army known as the Mujahedin to defend Islam and force the Russians out. They turned to their trusted advisors, the bin Ladens, who offered up a lanky 21-year-old named Osama. The man who personally chose Osama bin Laden to build that army would also become his mentor, Saudi Prince Turki al-Faisal. On British television, he reminisced about the young bin Laden.
In those days, he was a young man who had committed himself to helping the Afghan Mujahedin liberate themselves from the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan.
He provided an important element to the Taliban's final offensive against Kabul in two forms. First, field-grade, non-com type insurgent officers, insurgent fighters who had come with him from Sudan or from elsewhere in the world. But more importantly, probably, he provided an infusion of cash, which allowed the Taliban to buy off some of Massoud's less loyal allies, and so in 2 ways facilitated the entry of the Taliban into Kabul.
MI6 supplied small arms, they supplied money, principally they supplied radio equipment, Rakal radio transmitters. There was also a period when they were supplying blowpipe missiles.
But this had to remain a black op. The Islamic Mujahedin had links to known anti-Western terrorist groups.
Once SIS was authorized to actively involve itself inside Afghanistan, obviously it was a very sensitive matter. The numbers involved were very small. There were only 2 or 3 people who went in each time to do the training.
With the help of MI6, the Mujahedin won the battle for Afghanistan.
But at the end of the campaign, what do you do with all these guerrillas that have been recruited and are highly trained? You have thousands of guerrillas in Afghanistan, nowhere to go.
But some of these guerrillas did have somewhere to go. They already had links with Islamic terrorist groups elsewhere.
There were some serious players sent to Bosnia, among them the man who planned 9/11, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and Abu Suleiman al-Maki, here on the right of Osama bin Laden. One reason he's sitting down, he was shot in the legs in Bosnia. British Muslim convert Andrew Rao, jailed on terrorism charges, was also in Bosnia in the mid-90s. Documents passed to us indicate the scale of the problem. Sky News has obtained several documents marked top secret, amongst them this, which lists 1,700 names of Mujahedin fighters. There are dozens of Saudis, Yemenis, Egyptians, and among them there are 5 Britons. For example, Sehid Jasir, Ingleska, which means English, Poginho, which means killed in action. And here another Ingleska, Muhammad Aisa. Other names marked as English are Abu Qutayba Asim, Abu Khalid Abdul Razak, and Abdul Kelik Abdul Qudus. These pages show the names of several hundred Mujahedin who were given Bosnian passports after the war, and that they changed their names. For example, Abdullah Khalid becomes Klokic.
It's quite clear and apparent that MI6 was involved, to what degree we do not know, but certainly was involved to some extent with groups that were part of the al-Qaeda network.
But this is definitely something MI6 won't talk about.
If there is an investigation, it might start to unravel. Which other groups, which other individuals were MI6 in touch with? Which groups were they funding, supplying information with, who were part of the al-Qaeda network?
Once you get really good inside intelligence about any group, you are able to learn what the levers of power are and what each man fears from another and what each man is capable, will credit another man with being capable of doing. It's all a matter of inside knowledge.
This insider knowledge, designed to divide and rule al-Qaeda, was honed during 20 years of special operations in Northern Ireland.